Hello, this is Mrs. Standridge. We're here today to talk about another episode of Raymie Nightingale. Yesterday when we read, there was an interesting part in the book where Raymie compared the voice of Mrs. Nebley to the voice of a troll who was standing under a bridge hoping that an unsuspecting billy goat would walk by. Now, most of us are familiar with the story of the billy goat's gruff and how the troll tried to capture them. So we understand what that means. I hope that some of my sixth graders can remember what type of figurative language the author used. But if you cannot, that type of figurative language is called an allusion, right? They have alluded to something that is common knowledge in literature. So I hope you caught that. If you didn't, pay attention and let's see what other kinds of literary devices we can find in today's reading. 17. Finding Beverly Topinski turned out to be surprisingly easy. When Raymie got to baton twirling lessons the next afternoon, Beverly was standing under the pine trees, chewing gum and staring straight ahead. "I thought you weren't coming back," said Raymie. Beverly said nothing. "I'm glad you came back." Beverly turned and looked at her. There was a bruise on her face, under her left eye. "What happened to your face?" asked Raymie. "Nothing happened to my face," said Beverly. She chewed her gum and looked right at Raymie. Beverly's eyes were blue. They weren't the same blue as Isabel's. They were darker, deeper. But they had the same effect as Isabel's eyes. Raymie felt as if they could see right through her, inside of her. She stared back at Beverly and started trying to rearrange her soul, working to make it invisible. And then Louisiana Elefante showed up. She had on the same pink dress from the day before, but today she was wearing barrettes, 6 of them. The barrettes were scattered randomly throughout Louisiana's limp blonde hair. All the barrettes were identical, made of pink shiny plastic with little white bunnies painted on them. The bunnies looked like ghost bunnies. "I'm not going to faint today," said Louisiana. "Good news," said Beverly. "Got yourself some bunny barrettes, huh?" "These are my good luck bunnies. I forgot to wear them yesterday, and look what happened. I'm never going to remove them from my head again. What's on your face?" "Nothing's on my face," said Beverly. At this point, Ida Nee came marching toward them, her white boots glowing and her baton flashing. She had on a spangled top that sparkled like fish scales. Her hair was very yellow. She looked like a mermaid in a bad mood. "Here we go," said Beverly. "Stand at attention," shouted Ida Nee. "Stand up straight. That is the first rule of baton twirling, to stand as if you value yourself and your place in the world." Raymie tried to stand up straight. "Shoulders back, chin up, batons out in front of you," said Ida Nee. "And we will begin." She raised her baton, and then she lowered it. She looked at Beverly. "Topinski," she said, "are you chewing gum?" "No." Ida Nee lunged toward Beverly. Her baton flashed brilliantly, violently in the afternoon sun. And then, unbelievably, the baton landed on Beverly's head, where it kind of bounced because of the rubber tip. Louisiana gasped. "Don't lie to me," said Ida Nee. "Never lie to me. Spit it out." "No," said Beverly. "What?" said Ida Nee. "No," said Beverly again. "Oh, my goodness," said Louisiana. She put her hand on Raymie's arm. "Here I am wearing my lucky bunny barrettes, but I'm still thinking that I might faint." Raymie thought she might faint too, even though she had never fainted before and had no idea what almost fainting felt like. Louisiana held on to her arm and Raymie held on to what? She didn't know. She held on to the fact that Louisiana was holding on to her, she supposed. Ida Nee raised the baton to hit Beverly again. Louisiana took her hand off Raymie's arm and let out a strange noise, something between a scream and a squeak, and then she lunged forward and grabbed hold of Ida Nee's spangled midsection. "Stop it!" shouted Louisiana. "You stop it!" "What in the world?" said Ida Nee. "Unhand me." She tried to peel Louisiana off of her, but Louisiana held on tight. "Don't hit her again," said Louisiana. "Please don't." Lake Clara glittered. The pine trees swayed. The world sighed and creaked, and Louisiana clung to Ida Nee as if she would never, ever let her go. "Don't hit her, don't hit her," Louisiana chanted. "Don't be stupid," said Beverly. This seemed like good advice, but Raymie wasn't sure exactly whom it was intended for. "Please don't hurt her," said Louisiana. She was crying now. "Get off me," said Ida Nee, pushing at Louisiana. "Look," said Beverly, "I'm spitting out the gum." She spit out the gum. "See," she said, "no one's going to hurt me. It's impossible to hurt me." She put down her baton and held up her hands. "Come here," she said. "It's fine." She pulled Louisiana off of Ida Nee. She patted Louisiana on the back. "See," said Beverly again. "It's all fine. I'm fine." Ida Nee blinked. She looked confused. "This is nonsense," she said. "And you know how I feel about nonsense." She took a deep breath and marched away, back toward the house. And that was the end of the second baton twirling lesson. 18. The three of them were down at the dock. "So let me get this straight," said Beverly. "You want me to go into some old lady's room and take a book about Florence Nightingale out from under her bed?" "Yes," said Raymie, "because you're afraid to do it." "She screams," said Raymie, "and it's a library book. I have to get it back." "I want to come too," said Louisiana. "No," said Beverly and Raymie together. "But why not?" said Louisiana. "We're the three rancheros. We're bound to each other through thick and thin." "The three who?" asked Raymie. "Rancheros," said Louisiana. "It's musketeers," said Beverly. "The three musketeers." "No," said Louisiana. "That's them. We're us. And we're the rancheros. We'll rescue each other." "I don't need to be rescued," said Beverly. "I want to come with you to the sparkling dell," said Louisiana. "It's the Golden Glen," said Raymie. "I want to help rescue the Florence Dark Song book." "Nightingale," said Raymie and Beverly at the same time. "And when we're done doing that, we can go to the very friendly animal center and rescue Archie." "Listen," said Beverly. "Let me tell you something. There is no very friendly animal center. That cat is long gone." "He's not long gone," said Louisiana. "I'll rescue him, and that will be my good deed for the Little Miss Central Florida Tire 1975 contest. And my other good deed will be that I will help you get the book back. Also, I'll stop stealing canned goods with Granny." "You steal canned goods?" said Raymie. "Tuna fish mostly," said Louisiana. "It's very high in protein." "I told you," said Beverly to Raymie. "I looked at them and I could tell they were criminals." "We're not criminals," said Louisiana. "We're survivors. We're fighters." At this point there was a long silence. The three of them stared out at Lake Clara. The water glittered and sighed. "There's a lady who was drowned in this lake," said Raymie. "Her name was Clara Wingtip." "So?" said Beverly. "She haunts it," said Raymie. "In my father's office there's a photo of the lake from the air, and you can see Clara Wingtip's shadow under the water." Beverly snorted. "I don't believe in fairy tales." "You can hear her weeping sometimes," said Raymie. "That's what they say." "Really?" said Louisiana. She rearranged her barrettes and pulled her hair behind one ear and leaned in toward the lake. "Oh," she said, "I hear it. I hear the weeping." Beverly snorted. Raymie listened. She heard weeping too. 19. "So, okay," said Beverly. "You get the book and you get the cat. But what do I get?" They were all on their backs on Idane's dock, staring up at the sky. "Well, what do you want?" asked Louisiana. "I don't want anything," said Beverly. "I don't believe you," said Louisiana. "Everybody wants something. Everybody wishes." "I don't wish. I sabotage." "Oh, dear," said Louisiana. Raymie said nothing. She looked up at the impossibly bright sky and remembered how Mrs. Borkowski had told her once that if you were in a hole that was deep enough, and if it was daylight and you looked up at the sky from the very deep hole, you could see stars, even though it was the middle of the day. Could that be true? Raymie didn't know. Mrs. Borkowski dispensed a lot of questionable information. "Pfft," said Raymie very quietly to herself. And then she thought about how in fairy tales people got 3 wishes, and none of the wishes ever turned out right. If the wishes came true, they came true in terrible ways. Wishes were dangerous things. That was the idea you got from fairy tales. Maybe it was smart of Beverly not to wish. From somewhere behind them, up at Idane's house, there came a loud screeching noise, which was followed by a bang and then a thump. "Granny is here," said Louisiana. She sat up. "Louisiana!" someone called. "Louisiana Elefante!" Raymie sat up too. "Who are the flying Elefantes?" she asked. "I told you," said Louisiana. "They were my parents." "But what does it mean, the flying part? What did they do?" "Well, my goodness," said Louisiana. "They were trapeze artists, of course." "Of course," said Beverly. "They flew through the air with the greatest of ease. They were famous. They had personalized luggage." "Louisiana Elefante!" "Granny's anxious," said Louisiana. "I have to go." She stood up and smoothed down the front of her dress. Her bunny barrettes glowed in the light of the sun. Each barrette looked purposeful, alive, as if it were busy receiving messages from very far away. Louisiana smiled down at Raymie. It was a beautiful smile. And for a minute, Louisiana almost looked like an angel, with her pink dress and the blue sky lit up behind her and all her barrettes glowing. "They died," said Louisiana. "What?" said Raymie. "My parents. They died. They aren't the flying Elefantes anymore. They're not anything anymore. They're at the bottom of the ocean. They were on a ship that sank. Maybe you heard about it?" "We haven't heard about it," said Beverly, who was still on her back on the dock, staring up the sky. "Why would we know about a ship sinking?" "Well, anyway, it was long ago and far away, and it was a great tragedy. All the flying Elefante luggage sank to the bottom of the ocean, and my parents drowned. And that is why I never learned how to swim." "That makes sense," said Beverly. "Now it's just Granny and me, and Marcia Jean, of course. She wants to capture me and put me in the county home, where they only ever serve you bologna to eat. It's all very terrifying when you come to think about it. So I try not to think about it." "Louisiana!" shouted her grandmother. Louisiana bent and picked up her baton. "I'll see you both tomorrow at the Golden Glen Happy Retirement Home on the corner of Borton Street and Grint Avenue at 12 noon sharp." "Okay," said Raymie. "It's not the Golden Glen Happy Retirement Home," said Beverly. "It's a nursing home." "Goodbye, and long live the rancheros!" shouted Louisiana as she walked away. "Do you think her parents were really trapeze artists?" said Raymie to Beverly. "I don't care if they were," said Beverly, "but they weren't." "Oh," said Raymie. From up at the house there came the sound of the Elefante station wagon pulling away. It made a very loud noise, as if it were a broken rocket ship working to escape the Earth's atmosphere. "I should probably go up there," said Raymie. "My mother will be here soon." "Where's your father?" "What?" said Raymie. "Your father. Did he come back home?" asked Beverly. The bruise on her face suddenly looked darker, meaner. "No," said Raymie. "I didn't think so," said Beverly. Raymie felt her soul shrink. The sky didn't look as blue. She decided that she didn't believe at all what Mrs. Borkowski said about daylight, stars, and deep holes. Her mother was right. Mrs. Borkowski was as crazy as a loon. Probably. Pfft. "Look," said Beverly, "don't get all upset. That's just how things go. People leave and they don't come back. Somebody has to tell you the truth." She stood up and stretched, and then she bent down and picked up her baton. "But listen, don't worry. We'll go and get your stupid library book from underneath the old lady's bed, because that's an easy thing to get back. That's no problem at all." Beverly threw the baton up in the air once, twice, 3 times. Each time she caught it without even looking. "See you tomorrow, then," said Beverly to Pinsky, and she walked away. All right, I think that's a good place for us to stop today. I hope that you can join me tomorrow. If you are in my 6th grade class, please be sure and leave me a comment on the video so that I know you're watching it, especially if you're wanting to count this as part of your literacy assignments for the week. I hope you can join me tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you. Bye.